Greetings, fellow Demon Slayers. This is Taimanin here today with another video. So for today's topic, I just want to kind of segue off of what we were doing yesterday. Instead of going into giving a whole bunch of new player tips, though, I'm going to just go over the supporters that are currently in the game, look them over, and just kind of give my opinions on each. Or not every single one, but ones I feel that you should take note of. So new players know what is good as far as a supporter, and maybe existing players who aren't 100% aware of what is meta will, have their eyes open as to what people are using or what is sought after. Before continuing, I do want to just bring up the Discord server. We actually did reach 190 members, which is crazy because the server is not even 2 weeks old yet. So thank you guys so much. If anyone is interested in joining, the link will be in the description. Let's try to get up to 200, guys. Alright. So let's get right down to it. I think the best place to go is the gotcha screen. Alrighty. So first we're going to look at the ultra rares that are available here. There are obviously other ultra rare supporters. I'll talk about them. But I just want to kind of consolidate rarities so that I can get us through this. So first we'll look at Fuma Amane. I'm sure everyone knows what she does by this point in time. I don't really find her S level skill or her passive too great, but her Evil Eye Circle Motion skill, upon being attacked, performs an area attack that deals 55% of incoming damage. Every third area attack deals additional damage and knocks back enemies. So I find her very lackluster in PvE. However, in PvP, she's just such a staple, it's ridiculous. You can run her on pure blue build Sakura or Renko, and it's really hard to open up someone using Fuma because you'll just simply keep getting knocked back. So that is that. She is really good for PvP. Definitely someone who is sought after, especially if you're trying to climb the ladder. So keep your eyes open if you do get your hands on a Fuma Amane. Very worthwhile. Next we will look at Kaworu. I love everything about her overall for PvP and PvE. She isn't as devastating in PvP as she is in PvE, of course. The critical damage that she does give is ridiculous. I believe at S level 5 it does come up to 48%. It does pair nicely on characters like Yuki with her Ryun ability, which also gives critical damage. I believe at 3 green supporters, Ryun would give 240% critical damage, and then she's giving 48%, so yeah, it's a huge buff to your crits. And her ability Evil Chain at base would deal 425% damage, stun all enemies, and deal additional damage after 3 seconds if the enemies remain stunned. This can be good on Yuki in PvP because sometimes she'll be so far away she doesn't actually hit them before Kaworu's second hit procs on her active. I do use it on Yuki in PvP for the time being. I am looking at switching into another supporter. But overall, this is a great supporter to have, and she will definitely take care of you, even if it is only in PvE. There are better options in PvP, but she's no slouch there either. Next we look at Major. Again, very lackluster in PvE, but in PvP, Major is an absolute monster. At max awakening level, Major's ability actually will deal 2000% of damage to the enemy, and since in PvP you're in a single target setting, and she also knocks them down, you're probably looking at them just dying. So if you get your hands on this, do keep her in mind, because she is useful for PvP. Like I said, not super great for PvE, but if you're looking to climb the ladder, a good Yuki with a keep away build and a Major will definitely be able to blow some people up. Next we look at Hisui. I'm not really sure what I would do with Hisui. I do like her passive for PvE, but in some cases I feel like there are better supporters. For example, the Asagi supporter, which I will not be able to actually show you guys because she's no longer in the game and I did not pull her. It's just so much better because her ability essentially activates Asagi's time stop, so you get it twice. That is great in PvP. I'm just going to go ahead and say the Asagi supporter is nuts in PvP. As far as Hisui, I guess if you don't have anything like a Kaworu or anything devastating, her active does work for PvE, but I wouldn't bring her somewhere like PvP because she doesn't really mesh well with the mode as far as what her abilities do. Alright. Next, we will just head over to the super rare or above supporters. Okay. I'm not going to name every single one as stated. I'm just going to name the ones that are very useful. So we're going to look at Mai first. Absolutely a staple in PvP for pure blue builds. Definitely get your hands on her. By S level 5, her passive will be giving a 20% all damage reduction. So 100% worth it. We'll move on. Not much else to say about Mai. Hamura's really good. I personally don't use her in PvP, but I have seen people run Yuki Kaze with Faust paired with her and Major as the main, and the damage is devastating on that red build. I, however, still think Homura is way better placed in PvE because at max level of S level 5 for her passive, the 30% damage she will provide with only a 10% damage increase to incoming damage is absolutely nuts. You'll find yourself shredding through enemies, and on top of that, for someone who is an up-and-coming player, maybe she may be all you have, her active is not half bad either. It deals a nice chunk of damage when she's max awakening level, and the knockback is just overall good. She's overall a great supporter for PvE, and she's no slouch in PvP either. Next we look at Momoko. I do love Momoko for pure green builds in general because of the particle regen rate she will provide at S level 5. That does end up being 50%, which just works well in PvP and PvE. Like, there are better options, yes, but she's also perfect as a filler slot because getting more special bar or particle recharge is never a bad thing, and she increases it by a flat 50% over time. You don't have to meet any conditions, so you'll notice that your bar is like always kind of just regenning when you have a Momoko equipped. So I definitely would suggest her. She's a bit more niche than say a lot of these protection supporters, but on someone who likes pure green like Asagi or Yuki, she's not a bad choice. Hoshino, I will mention her. She's not exactly a staple, but I have seen some pretty unique builds where people are using Major as the main in PvP with Homura for the 30% damage, and then using Mitsuki to reduce the cooldown on Major so that they can get more Major procs. So I wouldn't suggest her as the greatest thing ever. I hardly use mine, even though I do love her art and the whole aesthetic. But that cooldown on supporter skills is not a bad ability to splash in if you don't have a staple to put in that spot, or if you're just looking to lower the cooldown on your main supporter. She's definitely an option that should be considered if you're not rocking all staples. No, not you. Okay, here we go. Faust, that's who I meant to click. Faust is amazing on Yuki Kaze. I'm sure Faust will probably also have a home on Emily when she gets here, as she's also a ranged character. That critical rate of ranged attacks in PvP, as I stated earlier, is nuts. Especially with a Homura and a Major equipped. So, don't sleep on Faust. She is very strong. I don't really care for her active too much, but her passive can find a home in PvP, and even in PvE. if you were in need of critical rate for a ranged character, or at least a character that is heavy on ranged attacks. Next we look at Mito Haruka as another staple. Very powerful in PvP and PvE. For PvE, what I like to do is just run her as the main on like a pure blue build Sakura, and pair her with other supporters, because there are 3 supporters in global right now that would give a damage buff to each damage type respectively, Haruka's being humans. So I even like her in PvP for that. I feel like you can either run a Fuma, Amane as your main supporter in PvP, or as of right now you can run Haruka because of the Dark's Fill ability that she gets when she is the main. At max awakening level, that will turn into a whopping 60% damage. So yeah, when I get a spin-off on Sakura and it clean hits in PvP, that person pretty much almost dies. On top of that, her passive does reduce damage taken from human types by 20% at base. I do not remember what it ends at. I think it's 40% at S level 5. I'm not 100% sure, even though I have her at that level. But overall, she's great for PvP and decent for PvE if you're looking for something that can shred humans. This is a niche mention. Shinjo Yuna is very good on Yuki's running Ryun. I would not place her anywhere else. She's good as a filler slot because the extra healing on a sub-support will never be bad. But obviously you're looking for more damaging things. But as Yuki, I do run her as a main supporter. Well, not a main, but as someone that doesn't get taken off, rather. She is in the sub-slot. Because of the healing she provides, paired with Ryun, in PvE, Yuki is damn near impossible to kill as long as I'm landing Ryun. So I figured I'd mention Yuna for any Yuki mains. Okay, we will leave this screen. Actually, we'll come back. So I am going to mention the new supporter, this Sakura here. I don't want to go as far as to say she is a staple, but she does have a very powerful niche build that you can get going with Snare that works with Sakura, since Sakura is the only character who has an on-demand Snare in her kit, as well as the active proccing the passive. You can get some crazy damage with Sakura going if you do manage to get your hands on this supporter and get her duped. So definitely a worthwhile supporter. I don't feel like any of the character supporters we've seen so far are bad. I definitely feel like this Snare build could be sneaky in PvP. And I would 100% avoid someone running it, because I don't want to get snared and then melted by Sakura. The same thing goes for Asagi. I mentioned that supporter earlier. I know I don't have her, but... and I can't remember exactly what she does, but basically her ability works like a Kojenka, where when the active is procced, or popped rather, it basically is going to slow time to crap for the enemy, and she's going to beat the crap out of you during that time frame. And you better pray to God in PvP she doesn't use Kojenka right after, because you're going to be stuck forever. She's probably going to kill you. So the Igawa Sakura and the Asagi Igawa supporter are both really good. Definitely try to pull for this supporter if you have the resources to do so. And if the White Almighty pack for Asagi does come back around, do not sleep on her supporter. It will take care of you in PvP. Next we'll go to the new girl on the block, Suzune. I don't see many people using her yet in the top 100. I don't know if it's because everyone's lacking resources because of Shiranui, or if people are sleeping on her, but by no means you sleep on this supporter. She reduces damage taken from all enemies by 12% at base, which is amazing. And then her ability, Wood Art Rewind, would reduce the duration of all debuffs by 30% for 15 seconds. And then restore 3% of lost HP every 3 seconds. So that's going to be 5 heals that she will give you over that 15-second duration. Really good in PvP because of the damage reduction from everything. I do hear that Emily in PvP is classified as a machine, so Suzune would take care of you on that front. and on top of the healing that she provides, you'll probably be able to stall people out if you make her the main. And even if you just run her as a sub supporter and keep Fuma as the main, the additional damage reduction from everything is nothing to scoff at. So do not sleep on her. Do not sleep on this Sakura supporter. Pull whichever one you feel you need, or pull both if you have the resources. I feel like down the line people are going to kick themselves if they do not go for these supporters. I honestly wish I could at least go for Suzune, but as you can see, I'm only 663 gems saved right now after the Shiranui gacha, so I just can't do it. I don't want to risk pulling 20 times and not getting her. So I'll save my gems and wait for her to be added to the pool later and try to get her there. But if you can get her now, do not sleep on her. She's very strong. Now we will go to the inventory, cover the event waifus. First, I want to look at the first event waifu, Onigumo. This would be the protection supporter that lets you deal additional damage to demons, so right away she's very good. And if you're only fighting demons, you could go ahead and splash her as your main and just use her active to be able to snare everything, deal a nice chunk of damage. And yeah, she's really good. Like, I have nothing against her. I think she's a great supporter. I wish she were better in PvP, but as far as PvE, she's great, and I find use out of her often. I know some people may not be able to get her, especially newer players that missed the first event, and that is very unfortunate. But for anyone who does have her, because they didn't miss that event, maybe they've been ignoring or sleeping on her, she's very good for PvE. There are a bunch of missions where demons are the only enemies. You can literally pair her passive with a weapon like, say, Leyline. Here it is. That lets you deal additional damage to demons, and at S level 5 that is 80%. I'll look at Shiranui's because she has a copycat weapon. Yeah, you could use Onigumo with something like this in a protection build, and you will shred demons. So definitely keep her in mind. I would say she is a staple for PvE. Do not bring her to PvP though, there are better skills. Next we'll look at the second supporter. That came from events, Yozora. I think she's amazing. I feel like a lot of people sleep on her. I've come to the point that I avoid people using her in PvP because when that ability goes off, the Nether Blossom, it's terrible. Like, the person heals for almost half health, and I've been stalled out by characters running her. I actually saw a guy running Hanasaki Yozora paired with this rare supporter, this one, that restores 8% of HP loss every 6 seconds, and the regen stops when the person falls below half health. This paired with Yozora in PvP has actually beaten me because I just simply couldn't kill them before they could keep regenning. And since Yozora heals them past half health, the rare supporter's ability stays viable because then she can continue to keep restoring 8%. So it's kind of a stall build. It's not everyone's playstyle, it is niche, but I do think this is a decent supporter, especially if you're someone who doesn't have everything, or if you're free to play and you're not pulling in gacha for the absolute best stuff. You may be able to find some use for her paired with Ginryu in PvP. And hell, probably even in PvE. Like, HP regen is not bad. If you can heal long enough that you can kill the stuff, then go for it. I wouldn't say she's a staple, but I did want to at least give her honorable mention. I believe I said when her event came out, I do like her ability, and that does still stand. And next we look at good old Katajina. People have kind of been giving her a little bit of like crap lately, saying that she's not worth it. I need to level her. As you can see, she's level 50 now. I just don't have the gold or resources to keep pumping her up. But when I get her to 60, I am going to test her on Yuki in PvP, paired with her I-10. So anyone who has her at level 60 and S level 5 that has Yuki and wants to test that, you would simply let Yuki do the Harai 10 and then pop her active to increase the duration of that debuff. I think that can be a very strong combo. I do think it's niche viability in PvP, and on top of it, the passive reduction to all debuffs, I think she'll be a good choice for PvP. I'm not saying she's going to be the best thing in the world, but free-to-play players definitely should appreciate her because she'll give you some sort of defense against debuffs, which is great. She'll reduce their duration, and then the fact that she can increase the duration against debuffs means that you can probably make a pretty sick build where you spam debuffs. So, again, her event is up right now. Don't sleep on her. At least get her to S level 5, because if it comes down the road that she does have some sort of viability in PvP, you want to make sure you have one to use. I do think that just about covers every... Oh, one more supporter. I'm sorry. I wouldn't call her a staple, but the adorable Waterase, she's super helpful. I have had people asking me if she's still popping up. I don't know, because after I got her to S level 5, by paying $1, on her little banner that comes up, she stopped appearing for me. So I think they only allow you to ever get her to S level 5 and then they stop bugging you about her. If she pops up and you have $1 to spare, like I know some people look at free to play as a badge of honor. If you're 100% free to play and you spent $5 for an S level 5 Waterase, I will not say you're not free to play, because this is so worthwhile. Her golden experience gained by 15% when completing quests is just super useful. And for a total of $5-6 after, like maybe $6-7 after tax, she's worth it. Just go for her, get her if she's still popping up. Maybe someone can say so in the comments. It's so rare that she pops up that it's really hard to tell if she's still around or not. But if she is, do buy her. I will also give her an honorable mention for PvP. I have seen some people in the top 100 actually using her for her active in PvP, and it's pretty scary when all that CC is on your character. Like, I haven't had it kill me yet, but I'm just saying people do it. It does seem to be pretty useful if you're looking for a really prolonged CC with damage. And if you have a character with S level 5 weapons, like, you may find that it's a useful setup, because your character may be able to just delete someone. Like, I'd say for an Asagi player that was not able to get her supporter, if they're able to afford $1, or, maybe like $5 to get Waterase to S level 5, just so she gives the most stats possible and max her out, I could definitely see an Asagi player running her active in PvP as kind of a ghetto Asagi supporter setup to slow them down, and pairing it with Kojenka so that they could basically do what Asagi likes to do and beat on the enemy at a huge speed advantage. So that does cover every supporter I wanted to mention. I just wanted to give my thoughts on what we have available in the game as of right now. I do not think I missed one. Hibiki, because she is not around right now and I do not have her. Hibiki is really good. Her ability pretty much procs her passive, and her passive at S level 1 says 20% damage to basic attacks while there is a debuff on the enemy. I can't believe I forgot to mention her. People seem to sleep on her. I know me and another player from the community, Winged Arc, we've talked about her extensively. We both wanted to pull her, but unfortunately we did not have the resources, so we'll have to wait for her to get added to the gacha pool. So I did want to give her a mention. I see people using Hibikis in PvP with red builds, and I just do not fight them because I don't want to get hit that hard. So when she comes back, if she drops, don't be disappointed, because I think people slept on her. Kind of like how people seem to be sleeping on Suzune right now in favor of the Sakura supporter. Do not sleep on those two. I feel like they do have viability. I feel like Suzune definitely has viability in PvP. I feel like Hibiki could find viability in PvE and PvP, even if just as a sub-supporter. So, I can't believe I forgot to mention her, but when Fuma Hibiki comes back, if you get your hands on one, be grateful. If you already have her, I'm sure you've probably found a use for her, because I see people in the top 100 that do have her equipped. I avoid them because the builds look very deliberate. With things like Homura and her paired and in Major, I don't want any part of that. So, just thought I'd give her mention. And with that, that will end it. I am going to go ahead and link a video in the description that Winged Arc made. It's a really short video, kind of funny. So if you're interested, just check it out. It'll be worth your while if you're looking for a quick laugh. And besides that, again, if anyone's interested in joining the Discord, we would love to have you. We are at 190 members, so again, thanks for everything for joining. I'm super happy about that everyone has come out and decided to be a part of the community. With that being said, I do wish you all a great rest of your day. I do wish you all good luck in your gachas and good luck in the arena. Please like and subscribe if you found the video helpful. And you guys take care.